Hello, hello. Good evening,
Hello,
everyone.
good evening.
We are back for another chat with Momvestors. I am Carine.
Yes, and I'm Nikki, and it's the last day of March.
It is. Time flies, sis. We are almost in April, indeed.
Yep,
And
tomorrow is April.
what are we talking about tonight?
We will continue our basic chat, the back to basics that
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about the last two sessions. We went over settling in Canada as a single person versus a family, what you do, getting your first job, getting your first home as a rental. And now that you're settled, what's next? How do you get into the housing market? How do you start to progress on that side of things? And we will be sharing our experience on that. Again, disclaimer as always, these are our own lived experience or knowledge of information or resources that we have. Always seek
Lesson
your
learned.
financial
Lesson
advisors.
learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. From our own
Always
experience.
seek always seek your financial advisor's opinion or advice based on your situation, and also speak to your accountant. Okay, now
Absolutely.
let's get into the juicy part of today.
Yes. So whether you're an
Hmm.
individual or coming as a family, your newcomers in Canada, we assume here that you already found an income, a job that will bring you recurrent income, and the question is, what's next? What's next when you have settled? You found a home, most likely to rent, whether by yourself or with your family. From
Hmm.
our experience, as an immigrant, the next step typically is to own a property, whether it's a property for you to live in or as an investment.
Hmm.
And for that, you need money. So you will think about, okay, now that I have this income, how do I save enough money to buy that property? What do you do in that
Yep.
case too? How do you save money, sis?
In my
What have you
case,
done and what do you think you
yep.
could have done better?
Oh, yeah. So many things I could have done better for sure. But what I did for myself as an individual with not much responsibilities at the time was I put my extra money from my revenue in GICs. So those are guaranteed investment certificates at the bank. Different banks have different terms of GICs. And when I say terms, it means like different return. You could lock in your savings for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. You would choose the option that you want. And the returns are usually between like zero point 0.5 to maybe 1 2%. I don't know, whatever it is nowadays, but for
Mm.
me that was what it was at the time. And I thought that was a high savings return. Oh my gosh, put in my extra money in a GIC and lock it in for 5 years at 2% return. Wow. you know but now, what would I do differently? Right. At the time, too, you know, there are multiple banks in Canada, in Ottawa that we're in. There are multiple banks that you can always approach to see different terms of their GICs as well. I went with our bank at the time, and I thought I was making the best decision because the goal for me was to be able to buy my own home as well at some point. So I was saving every and all extra income that I had in GICs mostly.
So
What did you do, sis?
just a little thing here. You say GIC. The IG that I read behind that is that you were trying to put aside some of your income and try to multiply it so that you can get more money as a foundation to buy that home. That's what you were trying to do, basically, right? And I did the same. For me, I went with a tax-free saving account. It's another vehicle that an institution, a bank will offer you, um, along with GIC or whatever other type of saving account. And the goal was the same. Put aside some of the income once you've paid all your primary needs, like your bills, your rent, and food, grocery, and try to aim at multiplying that money. So
Right.
basically, you're trying to invest the money, you're trying to get a good return. And at that time, we thought those 2% return were good.
However, over the years, even before, real estate as an option, one of the things that we've come to learn, which is not usually a readily available information, especially as a new immigrant, you wouldn't even know that there are other banking systems. They're usually called like mobile banking because they don't have physical buildings that you can walk into and open an account or anything like that. And for myself, it was Tangerine and EQ Bank were those two additional banks that I started to now use as I learn more about the banking system of Canada and what bank is giving more rate versus the other. Those mobile banks, because they don't have, the brick and mortar, they usually have promotions of higher interest rate where they could say, your savings for the next 3 months or 6 months get 4% interest. And what I would do in that case is I would move my savings from, say, RBC, for example. I will move that into my Tangerine account because they're offering that savings for the next 3 to 6 months. And fortunately, before the 3 to 6 months is up, guess what? EQ Bank already has a promotion going as well. Move your savings, open a TFSA or open a savings account, high interest saving account with EQ Bank, and they would have a promotion of 3 to 4% or 3.5 or 4% or 4.5, up to 5% sometimes. I've had a 5% return with those banks, those mobile banks before. Then I would just transfer my Tangerine savings now into EQ, the EQ Bank, and vice versa. So those were the ways that I started to get better returns compared to the GICs that I thought was the best option at the time. But usually people don't even know that these banks exist because as new immigrants, we're still learning the industry. We're still the country, rather not the industry. We're still learning more about the country, the banking system, the financing system. So because we don't see these banks, we don't see the building, we don't know that they exist. But there are banks that exist, and I'm sure there are other more mobile banks out there too that offer similar terms in terms of the savings and TFSAs or even GICs maybe.
Yes. Again, without promoting any bank or institution, what you were trying to do is move your money to the best investment possible.
Exactly.
And I have my little one. Okay. Okay. Part of the chat. Okay. Give me a second, sis.
So yeah, you can also just Google mobile banks in Canada. There are multiple mobile banks right now, and they're affiliated to the top 5 banks anyways. They're affiliated to the A banks, like the Tangerine and the Scotia are affiliated. So they're not independent banks either. So that was what I knew at the time as making the best financial,
Absolutely.
investment. Let me say investment
Yeah, those, and
decision at the
actually,
time. Yeah.
that's a good point, sis. What you didn't know probably back then is that you putting your money into those type of accounts, you were actually giving the money to the institution, financial institution, to invest on your behalf, right?
That's right.
And they were
That's right.
making actually more
Of course.
than the return they were giving you.
Of
The
course.
one thing you could have done better, and we know that now, is to actually bypass the institution and do it yourself. Invest yourself, right? We know now that you could have done some sort of private lending. Be the
That's
bank with
right.
your savings, and you would have
That's right.
made more than those 5% that you thought were already high.
That's right. That's right. And how would people even find this? How would they be able to be the bank, quote unquote, and get higher return than what the banks, either the brick and mortar banks or the, mobile banks versus what they're offering? How would people be able to find these resources or, skipping the bank, the middleman?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. And I remember last time we talked about networking. Same thing. Networking.
Mm-hmm.
You get in rooms where you will be surprised. People are looking at borrowing money in a quick way and short term with really great return, certainly higher than 5%. They have different type of needs for that, and they can give you as much security as a bank. You would be surprised talking to people just at a networking event, whether it's about real estate or another industry. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
people are willing
Yep.
to borrow money from individual, from peers, because it's less administrative fees, is quicker to do the transaction, and for that
Mm-hmm.
they are willing to pay more than 5% interest.
Yeah, yeah. From our own experience, in fact, one of the networking events that we were at a few weeks ago now, they were presenting, private lending for like dental clinics, for businesses, for even a financial institution was there presenting their project, their business package to borrow money directly from individuals like us.
Yeah.
And there were real estate businesses there as well. We do that with our development projects sometimes, where we want private lenders to be a part of whatever projects we might have going. It's whatever suits you. Do your due diligence, of course, whatever investment that you're going to go into, that will be a private lending option. Do your due diligence, make sure you're investing in what you know and what is clear to you, and
And
you
that your
have that
money is secure.
security.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that your money is
you have the
secure.
security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
uh,
another way also to save money is to reduce your tax. If you have a
it's
good
tax season
income,
right now.
yeah, if you have a good income and you want to keep most of it, one way that people usually go to is those RRSP register funds to reduce their taxes. And again, it's the same thing as a GIC or TFSA. They give the money to a bank. So a bank offer an RSP account to you to put your money in, so that they will use that money from your RSP account to invest. They will get the higher return and give you just a slice of it. There is something called self-directed RSP. Same thing, you put money in an RSP, except you decide where to invest the money. So you not only do you get the tax benefit because you're putting money in your RSP, but you can also do a private lending from that RSP. So it's a double win.
So there's a lot to unpack in that. So self-directed RRSP. You can put that in YouTube channel or whatever YouTube app and just do some research on that. We're happy to answer questions if you have question on that based on our knowledge. But again, you need to speak to your accountant. So again, you can search on YouTube or on Google self-directed RRSP, which means you're choosing the financial institution that you're putting your registered funds in rather than putting it at the typical banks. And you also have control of who you lend your registered funds to. And at the same time, you're getting tax breaks from saving your money in that RSP. Like my sister said, it's a win-win-win-win situation.
A triple win, actually, because you can even use some of that RRSP, Register Retirement Saving Plan, by the way, RRSP. You can use some or all of it as part of your down payment if you are a first-time home buyer, since we are talking about
That's right.
newcomers. Again, something when you're researching that to take into account.
That is right. So we know better now that there's a whole lot more vehicles of saving and maximizing the potential of your hard-earned money than just putting it in a regular TFSA or GIC giving you 2% return. That is not the best that your money can do. You work so hard for your money should work even harder than you do and bring
Absolutely.
you more returns so that you're able to save up all this money to be able to buy that first home or that first investment property.
Absolutely. That's well said, sis. That's well said. And again, education, 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 research, due diligence. We are giving you tips and nuggets here so that we point you to the right direction to start doing those research, to start looking for the right things. Education is key. Yeah.
One other thing that we've seen people do, especially in our community, like the real estate community, is you could, thank God for AI, you could put in Chat GPT as well or
Oh,
Gemini,
yes.
whatever tool that you have, and say, I have a goal to save up 20,000 at the end of this year. How much do I need to save weekly? This is my salary. These are my expenses. How much can I afford to put aside diligently weekly that would bring me to my, say, your goal is 2,000 at the end of the year, that will bring me to my 2,000 goal. And if your goal is 100,000 at the end of the year, if you have the capabilities of doing so, but where you save that money now is up to you. But ChatGPT can guide you on how much to save weekly or bi-weekly based on your revenue. But where you now make that money work is up to you.
Yes. Perfect. I think we've covered most of what we wanted to cover tonight. How to start saving, how to build that pot of money, whether you want to, as a new immigrant, whether you want to buy your first principal residence or your first investment property. You've learned from our lessons, and we are always here to answer any additional questions. Please feel free to reach out on any social media platform. We're pretty much everywhere. Sis, where are we again?
I knew you were going to ask me that. We are on Instagram, the NCTL group. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we have YouTube. So you can reach out to us on any of those platforms. You can also email us, admin@nctlgroup.com. We'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have, and you can book a call with us through our Instagram page, and you schedule a time with our Calendly link there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.